If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com. Footballs. He joins us every single Tuesday to break down the very latest in all things college sports. He was at the whiteout, and it looks like he's wearing white or off gray now. John Canzano, JohnCanzano.com. You can follow him on Twitter, John Canzano BFD, and, of course, his radio show, The Bald Face Truth, in Portland, Oregon, brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Well, how was it? How was the whiteout?
Amazing. It was mind-bending to see 111,000 fans in one place. Even the tailgate, if you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, there's a phenomenon that happens when you stand like on the lip of the Grand Canyon, where you look out and you go, this just defies what my brain can comprehend. You get that feeling when you see 111, and maybe I'm conditioned to seeing Pac-12 stadiums that, kind of top out around 60,000, 55,000, but to see 111,000, to see the tailgate and walk through it, to see inside of the tailgate area, it's not just the canopies and the flags and the RVs. They've hired bartenders. They've got a DJ working. Like every, fifth tent is trying to outdo the other ones. This game itself delivered in a number of ways I'm sure we'll get to, but it wasn't that loud, Puck. I'm going to say this. I think Husky Stadium and Autzen Stadium, just as loud, if not louder, than Beaver Stadium there at Penn State. But mind-bending to see the whiteout and to take in their atmosphere.
Yeah. You have a great kind of description of what the tailgate was like in your travels there, getting to and from there. You go to johncanzano.com. It's in the Monday mailbag section, because it's not the easiest place to get to. It's like, I guess, for people out here, it's like going to Pullman.
It was described as that for people who have been to both places. They said, I said, where else in the country? And they said Pullman, because you look at, Happy Valley, and it's isolated. It's a college town. And except for game days, it's this small, sleepy town that's off the beaten path. And you're going to see like the Mennonites and the Amish as you're traveling through like the suburban areas around Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm not kidding you. By the way,
do they tailgate in the buggies at all?
I'm not kidding you. I'm looking around. The Daughters of the American Revolution were holding their chapter meeting at my hotel in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I thought Betsy Ross was on the elevator with me. Like literally, I was like 17. What year is it? What year is it? I kept saying, not what floor are you on, but what year are we in here? But it's, Harrisburg is the easiest flight. And for people who are traveling from like Portland to go to this game, you're going through either Dallas or Chicago to Harrisburg. Then it's a 90-minute to 2-hour drive to Happy Valley. Okay, it's a slog, and then you get in around the stadium, 111,000 people, awesome. But try getting in and out of there. I watched from the top of the press box after the game. I was done writing. I had cut a little video on Instagram and TikTok. Oh yeah, I'm on TikTok. And then at the end of it, I'm looking out, and all I can see are taillights. And there was this state trooper next to me, and I said, "Hey, how long right now if I go down to the parking lot?" And he goes, 45 minutes to an hour just to get out of the parking lot. So I just sat tight. I waited. I didn't sleep after the game. I left the stadium. I got back to my hotel in Harrisburg at almost 3:45 in the morning. My flight was 6 a.m. I had a 9-year-old soccer game to get to. Kids will never know, Puck. Service announcement for anybody who travels for work. Your kids will never know. They'll never know what you went through to get to that game. But she scored a goal, so I was like, okay, this was worth it.
Worth it.
But it's not an easy place to get to. You go to Philadelphia, you're 3 hours away. You go to Pittsburgh, you're 2.5 to 3 hours away. You go to Baltimore, you're 3 hours away. There's just no easy way to do it. Even the Ducks got home at almost 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. And they had a direct flight.
You know what? And then in watching the game, and it didn't have a lot of fireworks, obviously, in the first half. The fireworks happened in the second half, and then in overtime, and it looked like a game that that Oregon, after that last touchdown, to put them up by, what was it?
17-3.
By 17-3, yeah. He thought, okay, well, they're gonna win this game, and then they ends up going into overtime. I thought Oregon showed a lot of that. Dan Lanning showed a lot. They beat a Penn State team at their own, and a Big Ten team at their own formula. Thought they just out-physicaled them. Better at the line of scrimmage, better in the running game. And they won in a Big Ten environment with that script. And they're the only team on the West Coast that has done that yet here now in year number 2 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, you look back at even the Pac-12 teams that got to the national championship game or the BCS title game in the last 15 years. Oregon got pushed around at the line of scrimmage, badly outrushed by Auburn in 2011. Yep. Michigan got just put on roller skates again. I mean, Michigan put Washington on roller skates 2 years ago. I mean, outrushed them badly. 2015, Oregon, Ohio State outrushed them badly. This looked like a team that could win a national championship. That's how physical Oregon was at the line of scrimmage. And it surprised me because I thought that Penn State would be able to run the ball. And, maybe Penn State didn't commit enough to doing it, but Oregon showed me some resilience. You go, you're down, you're up 17-3, you blow the lead. They blew a 14-point lead. And then they fell behind in the first overtime. And I thought if I was James Franklin, I thought he might go for 2 there. To just put some real pressure on Oregon. But, he kicks the extra point, and I thought, oh boy. And so here's Oregon has to come back and tie it. Then they go ahead and they come up with a big defensive play, but it just showed a lot of mettle. There was a lot of resilience there.
Why do you think, and I was thinking about this, Oregon has made this transition into the Big Ten, and it has gone smoothly for them. In fact, they have not lost, right?
Have not lost a Big Ten conference game.
Okay. They look so equipped to play in this conference, the physicality, maybe it just comes down to money. Meanwhile, these other teams that have come over, UCLA, obviously a disaster, USC's not ready for it, and Washington's not ready for it. What has Oregon done to put themselves into position in this conference where the other schools have failed? Is it just come down to money?
No, it's mindset too. Money helps, right? No doubt. But it's mindset. It's there. Oregon had been here in 2011 and played for the title. In 2015, as I mentioned, they were not equipped. And so if you think about what happened with NIL and the portal, there was no school in America better equipped to handle that transition and to handle this new era and this wild west of college football. Nobody better than Oregon. I mean, they were equipped better than anybody with Phil Knight and where they're positioned and their branding, their marketing. But there's a mindset that exists. Everybody knows when you have a superstar player, you've got to go for it, right? You got a window. We always say that, the window of opportunity is open for this team because they've got the quarterback or they've got the star basketball player. Oregon has this window of opportunity because the ecosystem has come to them. They were pushing the envelope with comic books and picking up recruits and Hummers and doing all this stuff that the NCAA slapped them on the wrist 4 years ago. Now it's like, hey, you can do anything you want within reason, and Oregon's equipped to do it, and they're going for it. They are pedal to the metal right now. People are going to say they're outspending. Sure, they are. They're in that top group that is really spending. There's probably 5 or 6 schools that can really spend like that. Miami, Ohio State, Oregon. You look at those schools and you go, okay, they're going for it. But there's also a mindset and a mentality. And I think in the background of this, Puck, we cannot ignore the elephant in the room. Phil Knight's 87. He put $1 billion into this program. I think they want to win one for Phil.
But I look at Washington. We just talked about this. Was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? 3 years ago?
2 years ago, they played for the national title.
Think about that. I mean, it's just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, they got pushed around in that game. But, I mean, if you go back and watch it, they couldn't stop them. That was clearly a huge discrepancy. But, I think if you go back in the third quarter, I mean, it's a ball game.
Yeah.
But yet you watch them this weekend against Ohio State, and really for the first half, you're like, all right, well, they're in it a little bit. They never really kind of felt into it. I mean, you saw the talent gap just in terms of the physicality and the speed of it. And it just seems and I wonder, I guess I wonder this. In an alternate universe, had Kalen DeBoer not left for Alabama, would he be a better coach positioned for this conference than Jed Fish?
Yes. Yeah, and that continuity is everything. Look at the coaches in that cycle who left. Jonathan Smith left Oregon State. Whole nother predicament, but a disaster in his wake. Brent Brennan goes to Arizona. Jed Fish had left. Brennan, people were calling for his head that first season. Fish goes to Washington. You just lose too much. The portal makes it too easy for guys to jump. It makes the recruiting too easy to change schools. You need that continuity to win. And you look at, I do think you're going to see some of these schools at the top that have been more patient than others. Ohio State was patient with Ryan Day. I think you're going to see some patience that is exerted with some of these coaches at the top, because I think they know, and the schools know, look, if you change coaches, you're talking about 50 to 70 new players on your roster. It's just too hard. And it's too hard at the positions that matter. Washington had struggled even in the DeBoer era to get physical at the point of attack. They were doing it with the passing game, but I think that was the next evolution. If DeBoer stays at Washington, I have no doubt he's recruiting bigger, more physical players after losing that way to Michigan.
If you look at the remaining schedule here now for Oregon, I mean, their one huge test is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks when they face Indiana.
Yeah,
but it's at home. Then after that, it's at Rutgers, at Wisconsin team, at Iowa, home against Minnesota, USC before they finish up against Washington. Now, they're going to be in the college football playoff. The only question is this: how many losses or no losses is this team going to have? But this is a very favorable rest of the way schedule for this team.
Yeah, I had originally circled the game at Iowa as a potential problem, but the way they went into Penn State, they were so focused. You look at Dan Lanning at the end of the game. It was said to me by a friend after that Lanning looked like he wanted to hug you or punch you or cry at the same time. There was just such emotion around him and such focus, and Dante Morris crying on the field. Now, it does concern me a little bit because it reminded me a little bit of Ohio State last year at Autzen. There was this catharsis after the game, like they had won something. They were never quite the same after that. They lost a little bit of edge. They were good, but they didn't have that focus. It is a long season. It's more like the NFL than ever. I'll be curious to see how Oregon comes out and plays in 2 weeks. Do they have that edge? Do they have that focus? Or do they sort of lose it in a diminishing way over the course of the season like they did a year ago? By the time they played that Rose Bowl, they had completely lost it. They had gone soft. But I wonder if the emotional toll, when you play that high in an early season game, how does that impact you 4, 5, 6 weeks from now?
Yeah, and now a lot of other people had theories about Dan Lanning after the game on the field.
Yeah, he's hyped.
Well,
he looked like he belonged in the movie Hangover at the end of that game. I expected Mike Tyson and a tiger.
There was a lot of sweating and grinding your teeth, and there was just,
he's all kinds of fired up.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. I want to go back to Jed Fish. Jed Fish is, he had that season in Arizona. He's now at Washington. And I wonder this, and I know Husky fans will think I'm taking a shot at him. Maybe, I guess I am. Is he built for big games? They get in some big games, and there's always like a Jed Fish moment.
Yeah,
where he does something, or they're not prepared, or they don't get certain people involved. Now, like, he hasn't been in a bunch of huge games, I guess, in his early tenure. And I'm not gonna. The Michigan game last year at home, that was a fraud of a Michigan team, by the way. But go back to the Apple Cup, which was a big game. It's the first time they played after the whole, the defection and all that. He runs a speed option. He's not getting Jonah Coleman involved. You go to this past Saturday. Again, Jonah Coleman doesn't get involved as much. Denzel Boston has 3 catches. He gets an unsportsmanlike penalty early in the game. He runs a fake field goal on 4th and 14. Is he built for big games as a head coach?
What I saw in watching that game was he knows he's not good enough to win that game. He knows his talent's not good enough. He's trying to do something cute and trying to do something different to steal a possession. And coaches will do that, but you can tell. They'll say all along, yes, we're good enough to compete. They'll look their guys in the eyes, but you can tell how he coached that game. He did not believe Washington could win that game straight up. So he's trying to do what every little league coach in America is trying to do when they have runners at first and third and steal a run when they got a batter at the plate that they don't think can get a hit, right? Like they interject themselves into the game. It's not the right thing to do as a coach. I saw Jonathan Smith do it at Oregon State a number of times where he just got a little too cute. and got over his skis. He's trying to steal a possession, trying to, you can just tell that he knows they can't line up and they can't beat Ohio State playing it straight. So he's trying to do something to steal a possession or steal a score. Now, I watched it too, and Puck, and I said, they're a year away from us knowing if they can compete in that game. They were not physically ready for that game. Look, I want to see them against, the Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois group, that middle tier in the Big Ten. Are they able to hold their own there? Because if they're not, then you've got real concerns. But he went out and recruited a bunch of big, young offensive linemen. They're just too young right now. And I think they're bigger. They're not better, and they're not ready to compete with a very mature, physically talented Ohio State team. And Oregon will do the same to them in that rivalry game at the end of the year. Oregon is built physical and deep on the defensive line.
What do you think of all the belly aching coming from Washington, USC? Oregon's dabbled in a little bit of it as well.
Yeah, they have.
Belly aching about the schedule.
You
belly aching about kickoff times. Now I'm watching, especially UW fans this week, complain about how they've got to face teams in the Big Ten who are coming off buys. And I shake my head and go, this is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
So stop complaining about it.
You're not Ohio State and Michigan. Let's start with that.
And I guess what else did they think was going to happen to them when they came into a new conference?
You are going to get the early window, or you're going to get the late window for a kickoff. Yeah. And you're going to play on Friday nights because you're not Ohio State and Michigan, who say they won't. You're going to get in situations where you don't have as much preparation as your opponent. You're not going to get the favorable treatment. Dan Lanning, came on my show and he said, it had been like 7 times this season, that he had, the opponent had more prep time. It's true that there are some opponents that had more prep time, but it's more like 4. I don't know where he's getting 7. And now I'm hearing from Oregon fans who are complaining, not because they're kicking off at 7:30, Puck, but because the Indiana game was set as a 12:30 kickoff. Too early, too late. I feel like I'm driving my car and my kids are going, I want chicken, I want a burger. And I'm going, you're going to eat what you're going to eat because I'm making the decision. Like Tony Petitti in the Big Ten, they're not bending over backwards to help these 4 teams that came from the Pac-12 make it work. That's just not. But Dan Lanning said it's almost like they didn't want us in the conference. And that's fine. Put a chip on your shoulder, act like you're the uninvited guest, but you signed up for this. You did this. This is what you wanted. You could have stayed in the Pac-12 and you could have been the upper echelon team that you could have pretended you were Ohio State and Michigan in the Pac-12 and got that favorable treatment. We all know that, but you didn't. This is what you signed up for. Go win the games.
It's just, I laugh and whatever. It's in the past now, but I just laugh at all these people that are just so up in arms about it. I mean, they've got
human nature.
I know. I mean, they've got to buy this week. So does Indiana, but they got to buy this week, and they'll face Indiana in 2 weeks. So I don't know. It's just, it's funny, and I get a chuckle out of it every time. UNLV rumors. There's been this thing that's come out now. You wrote about it a little bit in your mailbag. What do we know with UNLV? Are there any legs to this potentially of them initiating talks one more time here with the conference?
No, I'm told that that's not true. That's not valid. That UNLV is still very much committed to the Mountain West. I think it's all being fueled by the Pac-12 Mountain West lawsuits and the ongoing speculation that the Mountain West won't be able to come up with the money. They've got $61 million the Mountain West needs to come up with by July 1 of 26. That's what they're supposed to pay to these schools that stayed in the conference. If they don't have that money, there's a potential there that UNLV and others could back out and say, the grant of rights is not binding. I had a couple of attorneys look at the grant of rights, pore over it. They said, there's several options. If they don't have the money, then UNLV and others could say they can either sue, or they can say, hey, the grant of rights is non-binding and it regresses now to the old grant of rights, which allows them to exit, not just to a Power 4, but allows them to exit anywhere. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I'm told right now that the Pac-12's plan is to go with a 7-game conference schedule in 2026. There's not an appetite for the home and homes that Oregon State and Washington State are playing this year. So they're going to go with 7, and then they're going to play 5 non-conference games. And for some schools, that's creating a little bit of stress because those non-conference games cost money. And so Pac-12 is talking to the Sun Belt. is talking to Conference USA, has had discussions previously with the American, not about an alliance or a partnership, but about opening windows in the early part of the season that would allow these schools to schedule each other. Because keep in mind, these other conferences have lost games, and they're going to lose games because all the Power Fours are saying we need to play 9 conference games, which is going to knock out a non-conference opponent. So there's some schools out there that are going, hey, we need a game. And so what I think they're trying to do is they're trying to line up the windows by saying, hey, let's leave like the first 4 weeks of the schedule open so we can slide in some crossover games that feature maybe some teams in Conference USA and Sun Belt helping in 2026 to fill some of those gaps. But I'm told right now you won't see a football-only edition unless one falls out of the sky. And UNLV, nothing serious with new discussions.
If you ran against Paul Finebaum, what would your talking points be in a political election?
Well, I mean, come on. He's pandered to the SEC for long enough. I mean, I think you point out the fact that, like, the SEC hasn't been all that great.
He only represents one side. That's it.
He is there to serve the elites, Buck. He is, he's pandering to the elitist.
Have you ever thought about a political career?
No, it would be the worst thing ever. I would hate it. I'm too honest. I would say things that would get me in trouble. And I wouldn't wish that. I look at the people who are in politics, and I think there's only two kind of animals there. There's the person who really wants to make a difference and is really trying to make a difference, and then the person who's in there just to be elected. And there's nothing in between. So no, I have no interest in it. I'll never do it. I will not be on your ballot.
And by the way, Godspeed to you and the rest down there in Portland. I'm told it's a war, so be safe. Goodness. Be safe out there. Don't
overdone, man. People are texting me. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Don't go to that Sunday farmers market down by the river. You don't want to get caught in the crossfire in the war there.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Give me a before you go.
Yeah.
Non-college football story.
Yeah.
But you witnessed it. You saw it. You're a fantastic columnist, so I'm sure you have some thoughts on the Ryder Cup fallout. Mm-hmm. What you saw from afar and what you witnessed and probably saw on social media. What was taking place there in Bethpage?
Look, I'm a big opponent of what the NBA is doing with the All-Star game. Like, I think it lacks, the people don't care. I thought, should we have international against U.S. players? Would it create a little bit of extra? Would the players care about it? I love that people care about this thing, but isn't it getting a little ugly for you? Like, you tell me, like, do you see it getting a little ugly?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always teetered on the edge of it because it is the one event that they hold that is trying to really skirt the etiquette of golf. Mm-hmm. And be like some other sports. But the problem is no other sports like this. Basketball maybe, where you're not even basketball, where you're 5 feet away from a player.
Yeah. And
you can say the things and act the way. And then the sport itself, when someone lines up a putt or hits a shot, you're supposed to be quiet. It's the only sport where you're supposed to be quiet.
Yeah.
And I just think and I think where we're at right now and the whole, the whole culture of everything, it just feeds into it. And it just got carried away.
It's too much like real life. I need my sports to be the diversion. I need it to be an escape. Yeah. And when it starts to feel like you're standing at a bus stop and people are yelling at each other, that's never the objective.
Those are always fun. The bus stop yelling, or even just yelling on the bus.
I always look at the bus people and I go, there's a faction of bus people where I'm like, man, that looks really hard. And then there's a faction of bus people and I go, that looks dangerous. And
I'm going to sit in the front. But then sometimes the instigators come to the front, so you got to go in the back. Sometimes I find the middle to be the best spot.
Yeah. I tell my kids are soft, man. I have 3 daughters. They're just soft. And I'm like, I'm going to drop them at a bus stop. Good. And just follow the bus for about 14 blocks and pick them back up. And I bet their attitude changed. Yeah. I bet you.
Well, I am very scary. I've got a 12-year-old, the boy. He's living in the city. He loves the bus, likes the bus too much. There's this, just all around. Him and his buddies, they are.
That's good.
Bouncing all around.
But he's riding out of pleasure. See, you don't want to be on the bus out of necessity. You want to be there.
True.
That's the difference. But as a kid, I rode the bus. Sure. I used to go 20, 30 miles on the bus just to go to the mall or whatever. And it was an experience. It was an adventure. But
a lot of bus talk today. This is good.
Yeah, and that's what we aim for on the show. By the way, can I say something about this tie, this Packers Cowboys thing?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I had it written down of why the NFL doesn't go to the college system. Yeah, go ahead.
They've created with the rule changes this it sort of incentivizes the ties because they shorten the period. Both teams have to have the ball, so you're going to get more ties, right? But I was thinking about this, like, why was it so unsatisfying for everyone that they tied? And then I started thinking about, I went in search of this, like I started researching brain chemistry and why it is that, and it turns out, like, when we watch a sporting event, we get adrenaline and we get cortisol. That's what our brain does for us, adrenaline and cortisol. Mm-hmm. And the thing that comes after that, when your team wins or you get a resolution, is dopamine. And so it's okay to go through the game on the edge of your seat, hoping, oh, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. It's 3rd and short. It's 4th and short. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he made that field goal. He missed that field goal. So it's adrenaline and cortisol followed by the ultimate release of dopamine, where we go, this feels good and it's very satisfying. Somebody won. There's closure. We have closed the loop. And so I'm watching this game and I'm going, why does it suck so much? The Packer fans were not happy. The Cowboy fans were not happy. The players didn't look happy. I wasn't happy watching it. I'm like, what is that about? And it turns out it's because we don't get the dopamine at the end. It's just cortisol and adrenaline and nothing. And so it's a real downer. And then it goes back to, like, you know, when we were a kid, who shot JR? Cliffhanger. To be continued on a Seinfeld episode is the worst thing ever. You had to wait a week. Cheers, to be continued. I had to wait a week to get resolution. But it turns out, like, they've studied this. Your brain, as long as it knows that the resolution is coming, your brain can handle it. When it is open-ended and there's an open loop, like when your wife says, Puck, can you take out trash? And you go, I'll get it at the end of the game. There's an open loop there that's not closed, and she doesn't know, is he going to get it, not get it? No. It's why she goes, I'll get it myself, because she needs to close that loop. We got to have these teams finish that game. It will never be finished. There's no to be continued. We don't know, that Darth Vader is Luke's father. We didn't get it. We didn't get a resolution. That's why. And here's the other thing. This is why it drives me bonkers at a youth sports game when they don't keep score.
Oh, like, I'm with you. I hate it.
We're not getting the dopamine. And so I'm keeping score in my head. And when my kid's like 5 playing soccer, they're in the game. I'm like 7-1. And they're like, what? You kept score? Yes, I'm keeping score. I need the closure.
And you know what else keeps scores? The score? The kids.
Yeah.
Because I've been a part of that, where you're up, but in the Boys and Girls Club, and you're playing basketball, and they shut it off when you're up 20.
Yeah.
And the kids will turn to me, hey, coach, we're up 35 now.
How much time do you have? Because I got another one for you. You got another one?
Sure.
Okay. So there's a football league, a flag football league here in the Portland metropolitan area for youth kids.
Yep.
They do keep score, but they also have a provision in the league that if you win a game by more than 50 points, the coaches get fined.
Yeah.
So it forces the coaches, you can play and get a 50-point lead, but it forces the coaches to kind of throttle down. How do you feel about that?
I don't like, here's why I don't like the fine. Because I coached youth football. And we had something similar last year to that, which I didn't like. You could, when you got up by a certain score, and I think it was 24, or 28, you couldn't score anymore. So, okay, well, here's why I didn't like this. Because what I didn't like is, and we ran into this a few times, the teams did this against us. They'd get to 28. They would then on purpose let us score, which is what a team did last year. They let us return a kick. So then their offense could go out and score again.
No, so you never get to play. Yeah.
So I'm just like, what are we doing here? I don't care. We're going to lose by 28. What's the difference if we lose by 42? It's just, we're going to lose. So here's why I don't like fining the coaches. So as long as the coach doesn't have starters there anymore.
Yeah.
But if he has his backups in, what is he supposed to tell his backups? The kids that don't get to play. Oh no, you guys can't really play. If that team is scoring, they shouldn't be penalized for it. What we do in our league this year now is I can't remember what the scores. I think it's 24, maybe, but it's in the second half. You're up by 24. It's a running clock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. But there is no cap on how much you can score. So I think that's probably the best way to do it. But
I'm
coach,
fascinated by this, and why it matters to us is fascinating to me. Like why that they don't want teams to run the score up. Yeah, I get that. You don't want to embarrass another team, but at what expense? Because real life, as we know, is unforgiving. And I have often said that youth sports is the safest place to fail. Go fail, face plant. Go have a monumental outcome. Life isn't fair. That's a great place to fail safely.
Yeah, I feel this way sometimes in baseball, that I didn't like in baseball how they would have the mercy rule.
Yeah,
because I always felt like, and it was like early, if you're down by, I think it was eight runs after 4. I'm like, you know what? I've seen enough baseball games where we could score 9 runs in 2 innings. Like we could come back from number 1, but I'm like, just let them keep playing. Why are we over by the 3rd or the 4th inning? But
I played in a college baseball game where we were ahead 18-1 and lost.
There you go. That? Exactly.
Stanislaus State beat us 23-22 in extra innings.
And you still remember it.
I was in the outfield. They hit a ball between third and short into left field for the winning run. I fielded the ball and threw it over the outfield fence just to punctuate the loss.
Sound like my kid. That's something my kid would have done.
Wasn't proud of it. I did not play in the second game of the doubleheader.
Shocker that you didn't play. Yeah. All right, there he is. What do you got at johncanzano.com right now?
I filed a column this morning on an elderly woman that I met at the airport in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. She's a Duck fan. She's in her 80s. She made the trip, and she was on a 6 a.m. flight back, and she said, what a game. And it got me thinking about older people who are often isolated and unable to kind of connect. They lose loved ones. They lose mobility. And how sports provides just this little angle, whether they're watching on TV, to feel part of a community. And so I think, we always talk about sports being glue, but it struck me. She doesn't have very many more games to go to, and nor does Phil Knight at 87. And all of us have a finite number of games we're going to get to. So soak it up while we can, but it really does remind me that, it's a community out there.
Yeah. Go read it. Check all the great work at johncanzano.com. John with us every single Tuesday, again, brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Thanks, John. We'll talk to you next week.